All right, so welcome to this week's episode of Is This Mandatory? We have Shannon and Bill from Sudden Impact Bait Co. We're excited to have you guys on. This following weekend is the Pacific Sport Fishing show, and you guys are going to be there.
Yeah, well, yes, and it actually starts Thursday. So, and Bill's going to stay up in Reno, so I'm going to be at the show, and Bill is going to be holding down the fort.
So you won't be at the show, Bill?
No, I won't be at the show this year. Yeah, it's a bummer, but I don't even know if I could get out of Reno right now. We have just today we had almost 6.5 inches of snow.
Oh, wow.
And you got Highway 80 shut down. You got 395 right at Mammoth shut down. So I'm sort of locked in here.
Well, even out here, just over the weekend, we had the 14 freeway shut down.
Oh, yeah.
I think it froze over in sections of it.
Well, it actually snowed over in the Sacramento, Roseville area. Couple inches. That's, every 100 years. So
yeah.
Pretty crazy weather we're having right now. We need it. It'll be good come summertime, keep all the lakes full.
More water.
Oh, yeah.
What I'm excited for is the high Sierras have been pretty low in water recently. So the fact that this is kind of refilling all those up, I'm going to Bass Lake the 15th, 16th, and the 17th. So that's adding water back into the system. So I'm pretty excited for trout fishing this year, just because the last couple of years have been very lackadaisical, I would say, without the real water. I would say the volume of water that is allowed to be fished.
Last year you were storm fishing up there.
So that was Bass Lake, but the water was still really low then too. So I'm talking about Bishop, the Inyo County, more Mammoth, Bishop, Big Pine, Little Pine, or Low Pine, and all that stuff. That area, they've been really lacking in water, and so I'm excited to adventure up there this year after the opener, which is the last Saturday in April, to see just how much has changed with the new water.
What's cool about that Sierra fishing is a lot of times, and you guys probably know this, like when I'll fish a new lake up there, the first place I go is the inlet, just where water comes in,
Yes.
And when we have a lot of low water years, you get a lot of sediment built up around the inlet of those lakes. The problem with that is kind of relying on like the rocky structure in that inlet area to hold fishing cool ways, So when we get these big water years, and I understand the Sierra's got most of it in snow, but that's going to melt off. But as those lakes fill up, and our lakes down here do it to a certain extent, like what's cool about having that sudden impact of water.
No pun intended.
The and it rocks that have been covered by sediment, and that gives shot for like the base of the food chain to get established, like crawfish and nymphs and all like the little kind of like the bugs that like trout like to eat. They'll hatch just fine in leaves on the bottom out in like 9-10 feet of water, but like really having that defined creek channel really helps a lake come to life. And I think we're gonna see that in some of our high Sierra lakes this year. Oh, hey Joe.
Yeah, which gets me excited, because the cool thing about that, well, to backtrack, that moving water aerates the water. So when the stream comes into the lake, it aerates the water, and that high oxygen location is actually what gets trout in more of a feeding frenzy or in more of a feeding mood rather than just stagnant water. So that's the cool part about that. So usually, here's a tip for anyone who's looking to trout fish this year. Find out where the inlets are. Find out where any water is really coming in, because that moving water and also the aerated water is where they're going.
Well, the snowpack is like 210% of normal, so the snowpack is going to be there for a while.
Josh.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited about that just because of the amount of life that it's going to bring to our lakes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and our bass lake off. Fertilizer is the wrong word because we've all experienced that where runoff has actually taken agricultural fertilizer and messed up a fishery. But like anybody who does organic gardening, like you're not like when you run your like NPK numbers on fertilizer, like Miracle Grow's like 12, 20, 12. When you run organic fertilizer, you're running like lower level stuff, like maybe a 1, 2, 1 on that NPK stuff. The cool thing about that is that's like what you're really getting pulled off the topsoil when you get those microorganisms that live in lakes that really provide the base of the food chain and create they get flushed. Lake is set, just basically rock settle on the bottom, and then as the water slowly pulls back over time, and you get those flood lines, like action lapping at the shore, that frees up that tremendous amount of nutrients that flowed in with the inflow, and all sorts of things like shad and other little, like I said, microorganisms can make life out of that, just the raw elements. And then shad can eat those, crawfish can eat those, and you wind up just kind of supercharging your food chain. You fertilize your garden, right?
My question is, because you just brought it up, if there's going to be so much food, and this is for lakes that have bass in it, there's lakes that don't. When that enrichment of food enters through those inlets, and we see a high population of trout next to the inlet, will bass hang around there so they can pick off the trout, or are they going to hang out in different locations?
Well, I think the bass trout balance has completely changed in the last couple years, right? And I think most places that are stocking trout are stocking those larger trout that aren't necessarily just bass snacks. Like you see that at a lot of places, right? One thing that is worth knowing about bass, when you have water inflowing into a reservoir, and you think about like what time of year that usually happens here, they'll usually go towards that inflow. Like even if it's cold, it's kind of weird, like that moving water. And then those creek beds are kind of the first place to fill up and have submerged brush, a lot of like what I'd call submerged timber, right? Because that's actually free wood. And then that sets those bass up for a really good spawn, because basically the erosion caused by the water coming in there has uncovered a lot of the good solid gravel that they need to spawn on. They need to spend less effort kind of digging. If you continue to see water rising through like the moons in like March and April and then in May, it can kind of mess up a spawn, because those bass eggs are deeper in dirty water and they don't get the solar energy that they require to mature. But I think that's one thing that a lot of people overlook is, like when you get a lake that's really flowing water into it, people tend to try and fish it like a winter fishery. And you almost kind of have to switch your viewpoint and just go right up the creek with a spinnerbait or like a June bug punch bait and just flip everything.
Interesting.
Oh,
looks like we just lost Charlie and Luke. Well, sorry, you guys. What a bummer.
They'll be back.
Lost them.
They'll be back.
They weren't adding anything anyways. We didn't need them. They were holding us back.
There might
So
They're my friends, and I need them.
I need them too. Let's see if we can't invite him again. There he is.
Oh, what's up, Ross?
Heard what you
big
said, Daniel.
We were here the whole time. You're a bad person.
You're a bad friend.
Let's ask Bill a question. Daniel can't talk anymore.
I only have one friend, so I can't hurt anybody.
You got all of us, Bill.
What's up, Zeno? Hey, Charlie and I had a really cool experience, and I want to hear Charlie's thoughts on it. I just want to give the lead in, right? Like, Charlie and I were working hard trying to catch fish, and I think I was fishing a little softer than I should have, right? Like finesse fishing a little bit. And Charlie pulled out a scrounger and started getting bit. And like my wheels started turning, like, what do I have that's like a scrounger? And
wait, these were your exact words. Hold on, you said,
like,
I got something crazy in the box, but I'm gonna take it out. It might make too much noise, but I'm gonna take it out.
Yeah, Charlie and I basically went on like a power fishing maniac mission, and I want to hear Charlie's thoughts on that, because we were kind of just doing that like wintertime sleepy fishing.
So we started off right. We started off the wall, like Shannon said. We were fishing slow, slow and low. We get to the next spot, and I mean, like Shannon said, I took out the scrounger. I kind of picked up on your techniques. You said wind it 3 times, let it sit. But then we started winding them. We started burning it for a while, and they were just annihilating it. Right? We had to. Which the seafoam? Is it the seafoam fluke?
Yeah,
and
that seafoam fluke.
Oh man, they were crushing it, and I think it was every other cast. But oh man, so stoked, like so this is my first time actually burning a bait and getting bit, I'm like, Luke, we slow wind all the time, we're dredgers, but to be able to like burn a bait, right? Pause, burn, and then get hit. Oh man. I mean, we were so stoked on the boat, man. I wish we had a drone just flying over us to see every single thing that we were doing, because it was insane. It was insane.
Yeah, thank you, John. Soft jerkbait. We don't say the F word. But yeah, that was something really special, and it was it's really cool, but it's a good lesson, you know what I mean? Like I do fish slow, and I'm like,
me too.
I'm very much a finesse fisherman. But like there are those times, you always joke about like the one guy in a bass club who just like knows nothing but going down the bank and throwing a crankbait, and dude wins one tournament a year but smokes it. Like there are those days where it's just like,
you guys were telling me all about that. So the next morning when I went out, it was the same ticket. I think I started out with a trout as the sun was coming up, but as soon as that sun got up, I put on a 2. What do you call it when you guys, not your torpedoes, but your ones that are made to go on like a war base? Do you call that a square head?
Our blunt nose.
What we call that?
Classic blunt.
Blunt nose. So yeah, I put a couple blunt noses on 2-ounce warheads, and I was just banging that thing along the bottom full speed, bringing it up, letting it fall, banging it along, almost like you would fish a crankbait. And we got to a point where we were saying, "Oh, look, it's just another 4-pounder."
Well, look, I pulled out maybe like a 2.5, right? And I'm like, oh, it's just a little one. Luke in the background goes, when would you ever say that before? A little 2-pounder.
Can we get a background story of Charlie on where he started the year?
I'm going to go to 2 weeks ago.
Where now
2 weeks ago, we were fishing the break wall, and he caught a 2-pounder. That was his new PB. Then the next weekend, he caught a 3-pounder with Shannon. That was his new PB. And then the next day, caught a 5-pounder for a new PB.
Yeah, it was an insane weekend. It wasn't this one. It was on a 5.5 5.75.
It was that size. Yeah.
Yeah. Caught my PV on one of these bad boys, you know?
What are these bad
Yeah,
boys?
those bad boys.
You got to rename. It's not the Shooter Shaker anymore. It's the PB Maker.
The PB Maker.
Everyone's got their PB on that bait.
So we get there early in the morning, and Luke, we're pulling out, right? We're pulling out of the breakwater, and Luke goes, it's one of those days where, you know, I got a feeling it's going to be, you know, either a good day
or nothing's going
to happen, you know? And I get there, man, and I chuck this thing out there, right? I'm slow rolling. First cast. And it's just like on, you know? And I'm like, in the video, you see me cranking up, right? I'm trying to take them out of the rocks, and I say, "You're not getting in the rocks this time."
So great to hear the video. You're not getting in the rocks.
What's funny is Luke and I were telling Charlie about high sticking it, you know, keeping the rod up here. So instead of, you know, winding down here, you know, you get an extra foot to 2 feet on your rod tip so you can yank them straight up rather than having them hit against the rocks in the structure. So you see in the video, Charlie's up here winding on his tippy toes like this. You're not getting up. And so it's so funny just to watch because the amount of excitement that Charlie has in this video is just mind-blowingly exciting, which gets you excited. Yeah. And then now
we got a couple cool videos coming out over the next couple weeks. We had, I think, 3 good trips in a row that are all going to be released the next 3 Fridays.
Well, at least Charlie had pulled out some good fish because the last time me and Shannon and Luke went, first 3 casts, this boy got bit in half all 3 times. Shannon's back there like a dad. Don't worry, Bill. I got just send the bait back here. I'll rig it again. Do it. This is no lie, right, Luke?
Well, I think you ended up connecting on a pretty good one too that trip.
Yeah, later that night.
You know, with something this thick, when it's getting bit in half, that's an aggressive fish.
That's a big fish. And that day when we that Saturday when me and Shannon fished, man, those fish were aggressive, man. Like they wanted it, you know. And the last cast, right? I told you, Shannon, one more, and I go and chuck it, and I'm fast. I'm burning it, and I drop it. I burn it, and I dropped it, and he took it, right? And I missed him, and he told me just leave it there. Wind it up like 3 more times, and he came back for it, dude. Insane, right?
So I'm standing, like my boat's small, right? I'm standing behind Charlie, and I'm doing like one of these where I'm like looking around Charlie just so I can see his line because it was white braid, which I love. But like I'm watching the white braid, and it's just like he stops winding, and it's doing that like tent thing where it kind of hangs, and then I just watch it like jump and spit water off of it, and then just go just straight
super tight.
I was like, oh my god!
It was just like, oh,
it was sick.
And I missed him the first time, right?
Yeah.
And I kept winding, and he came back for it. Caught him. Oh man, it was so sick.
It was sick. Just like on fire reaction fish. I kept telling Charlie, I'm like, we got 10 more minutes.
He told me, he goes,
like,
I'll tell you what, if it was up to me, I wouldn't have come back. Shannon made me come back. That's the only reason you guys had anything to drink at this thing. All the drinks are, everybody's eating hot dogs. All the drinks are locked in Charlie's car.
No, but definitely went a trip for the books, you know? Like it was a really good trip, man.
Well, I want to see if anybody's got any questions for Bill, because Bill's a wizard, and Bill's like one worked with.
I'm not no wizard.
And Bill,
I just work hard. Wizard? No.
So I guess I'll start it off. Bill, how did you start your company? How did you get started?
Well, I retired from concrete, and I needed something to do. You know, pretty bored, and I've always wanted to do this from way back in the day. And, you know, all those years pouring concrete gave me the opportunity to to get in it, and like a fool, I thought I was going to get in it and make a few baits and go fishing all the time. And now all I do is make baits. I don't go fishing ever.
Wait, you put smiles on people.
Yeah, Bill. I mean,
Yeah, you're not even making baits. You're making.
Yeah, I want to put a smile on my face. I'm sick and tired of making baits. Me and Ben are going to revolt. We're not making baits anymore.
That could be a disaster. That could
Just kidding.
be a disaster. I think our niche is making baits.
Yeah, you guys keep making baits. Me and Luke will fish.
Yeah.
I know. I can't fish for the life of me. I can't even catch them.
So you started?
No.
So you started?
Yeah, so I started in 2017. Pretty much hit and miss. Trying to find that niche. Trying to find a niche that because some of the market's just saturated. So had some ideas. Had a friend that fished back east, and so we started, talking about different things that might be, salt water, fresh water, something that will cross over. And so, yeah, it was sort of a long process. And Mark at Performance opened the doors one day and gave me a shot to bring some of the baits down. And we went to the Bart Hall Show that year and sold a little bit of product. And Bill introduced me to Shannon, and ba-boom.
That's all she wrote.
Life took off. Yeah. End of having a life. Now I just sit here and make baits, put eyeballs on,
So Fino wants to know, what's the first bait you made?
The first bait that I made was the 575 sugar shaker.
Oh, nice. So that's the most OG of the baits.
That's the oldest of the oldest, yeah.
My son's tuning in right now.
Uh-oh.
He just said hi to us. Hey, Joe. Joe was at Glizzy's at the ramp. As soon as they pulled up, he was waiting at the ramp for Shannon and Charlie, and he's like, no one has drinks, right?
He had his priorities straight. He had his priorities.
You know what he said? He came up to me and asked me if I needed help with anything. Like, now that might have had to do with wanting to get.
He knows
Charlie
how to tie up the boat and everything.
He also knows how to fish too.
Yeah, he does.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
So we're ready for you to spill the beans. What do we got coming up at the show?
Wow.
There's going to be some really cool here. First of all, that's really cool. It's a little bit smaller than Bart Hall, and it's a little bit more broken up. Like there's in Bart Hall, you kind of have the boats in one hall and a couple exhibitors over there, and then you got the main hall, and you're just kind of stuck walking up and down the aisles. This is kind of cool. They have like smaller buildings. I don't know if anybody's ever been in the Orange County Fair. This is the same exact spot. Last time I was here, I was with Cameron McLeod and his wife, Sarah, and I won a giant stuffed Black Panther by shooting a water gun. And buildings that they have like the arts and crafts demonstrations in are where they're having the show. And it's kind of cool because it's a lot of vendors, but it feels like smaller, which is nice. You know what I mean? In terms of products and cool stuff you're going to see, I'm going to be in the performance tackle booth with Sudden Impact. They got a whole bunch of cool stuff. The smaller flukes. So, Ron, do you mean the 5 3/4 or the 3 3/4? I'll I'll wait until I see the response there.
I've heard rumors that there's a fat fluke coming out.
We're gonna have to ask Bill.
That says it all.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that when we're closer. There's talking about that trout fishing. Shannon will be in possession of some very cool stuff for trout fishing shortly. So,
Yeah, and not just trout. So there's a lot of people fishing what they're calling a Demiki rig, which is basically a balanced lead head with essentially a shorter fluke trailer, right? And I've been experimenting. Ron, I see you said 5. We're going to talk about our 5 3/4 inch soft jerk bait in a second here, because there's a slight difference between ours and what's available. There's a couple slight differences. So Bill making that fat fluke. What's important about that? I've been experimenting. There you go.
Is that it?
Is that it?
No. 3/4.
I'm like, what was that it?
That one was a 5 3/4. Yeah. So, but I've been experimenting with some aspirin heads with our smaller flukes. And the cool thing about that is you can fish them a couple different ways. You can fish them straight down a bluff wall, Demiki rigging, where you're just vertical jigging a bait that just sits level. It almost fishes like an ice jig. It just goes in circles. When you throw that aspirin head slack, it does the old Cody head fall where it does a spiral. Or it basically fishes. You got spinning on, you throw it up shallow, put it in gear, put your rod tip, you just let that fall down the slope of the bank. It's a real way to catch fish in winter. You could also on a flashy swimmer, you can fish it like a conventional fluke, you can double rig it, you can do whatever you want with it, but having those is really messing around with it. So Ron, I want to go back to the 5 3/5 inch fluke. We have fished 5-inch fluke in Southern California for years. In saltwater, they work. The issue with them is that they catch a lot of those 10 and 12-inch saltwater bass. And I always say, if you're fishing saltwater bass and you want to catch a good one, you'd better catch 20, 30, 40, 50 of them, right? Because they're not like freshwater bass where the big ones all kind of school together. And when you get on big ones, you're on big ones. Saltwater bass, the dogs just run wild. Everything on the reef is going nuts at the same time. So you've got to kind of like be prepared, even with your search baits, upsize a little bit to know that you're around a school of legal fish. So we did 5 3/4, and that accomplishes a couple things. You catch mostly legal saltwater bass on it, and it fits a little bit stouter rigging options. So basically, instead of fishing that owner sled head with a 2-0 hook, which is really light wire, you're fishing the owner sled head with a 4-0 hook. So you can fish 20-pound line, and you can pull hard on fish, right? Without worrying about that hook opening up. Same thing, it fishes a 5-0 flashy swimmer instead of a 3-0 flashy swimmer. Both of them tend to hook bay bass just fine. I know, like, once you get above a 6-0 beast, your percentage of hookups on spotted bay bass goes way down. But if you're fishing for bay bass, fish for big bay bass, right? Like, that's what I love to do. It's fun, right? You get into catching fish and you're like, man, I had a really good day fishing. What's next? Next time out, try and catch a big one. You know what I mean? But that 5 3/4 inch size makes a big difference. And then obviously the 8-inch is just it's totally for bear hunting, right? I know Sean from Butter Baits, he caught a really nice bay bass on the 8-inch fluke. And I've caught some bay bass on it, but I downsized that 6-0 hook, and it tends to make a big difference. But saltwater bass, they like big things,
So when you say downsize from what to what?
So our 8-inch fluke is equally happy on owner 8-0 or 6-0 options.
Okay. And
the other thing we did with our soft jerk baits is we put a block in the hook slot. What that is Bill's got it right there. See that?
Block. Right there.
block. So where you come back through with your screw lock hook, instead of having an 1/8 of an inch of plastic that's going to get torn up and ruin that bait, right? Because I was field testing and I was like, I get 2-3 fish a bait off these things. They work, but I can't go to our customers and say, hey, you're going to get 2-3 fish for your, $2-3, right? If I can make a design change and turn it into an 8-10 fish bait, like all day, right? Because I'm not worried about people not coming back and buying them. I'm worried about people running out of them on the water. I'm serious, right? Like,
Yeah.
So, we did that, and it makes a big difference in how long they last in saltwater. The other cool thing about it is if you're getting jiggy with some line through options and you're wondering where to put that treble hook, take the master tine and put it right in the back of that block. If you sell 2 treble hooks in a row, you put the first treble hook master tine in the back of the head of the fluke and the second one in the block.
You know what's funny is I can't tell you how many times I've rigged up that 8-inch and never noticed the block.
I didn't even know it was in there.
It's a secret.
And another thing I'll say that you didn't touch on the 5 3/4, that 3/4 is only that much of a difference, but the amount of difference it makes in the action of that bait is huge. The amount of more bites that you get because of it playing a little more really makes a difference.
That's basically why we stopped making the 5-inch fluke. It actually basically killed the 5-inch.
Yeah.
So, and then you fished a little one a lot in Florida.
You know what? I fished it a lot out here too after Florida. Once we were catching so many fish out there that we got to really quickly develop how we wanted to play that.
That's good.
That turned into the Ned Rig killer. The Ned Rig killer. We just put that on a little Ned head, and it just kills the spotties.
Ron asked if the 5 3/4 has the pocket like the 8-inch.
Yeah.
Yeah, the block and the blocks lined up to that 4.0.
Don't mind us. We're just trying to go through.
We're going through my flukes to see if we got blocks in them.
Some of you will and some of yours won't because
do I got some of the older ones?
What doesn't have a block is the 6-inch slug, which fishes similar, not the same, but just as good.
Hey, that was one of those 2030 commercials that just
pop out. There's the block right there.
There's the block right there. 8-inch. Five 3/4. There it is.
Oh, this.
What is that?
Is it in the smaller one too?
Yeah. Not in the 3 3/4. The 5 3/4, the 8, and the 12 all have it.
Oh shit.
Here, hold that real quick. Charlie's got really little hands. This is a 5-inch.
Charlie, hold that up again.
Fluke, guys.
I've got bigger hands.
Charlie, I need to give those hands to my wife.
Jerk.
Oh man.
So are you guys going to have the spotty special color again?
Yeah, we've got a bunch of that going to the show.
Tito?
Yeah, we got some of that coming to the show. I'd have to check my my order for exactly what we've got going down here, but we'll have 4-inch shakers. I know those are a super popular item that are kind of hard to get hands on. That's a really cool bait. Dolan, I saw you posted some flashy swimmer. What's up, Jeremy?
Yeah, you're talking about the 4-inch sugar shaker, right?
Yes.
So Bill was nice enough to send a bunch of baits for both my giveaways last year as well as this year. I should say 2 years ago and then last year, end of 2021, end of 2022. In that, he said, hey, you know, I threw in some extra things for you. So I was like, cool, I'm going to take I took the bluegill and I took that 4-inch sugar shaker. Then everything else went to everybody else. 2022, everything went to everybody. So anyone who's listening, I did send all that stuff out. So what was cool is I'm not that confident when it comes into those larger swim bait fish or like fishing styles. Yeah, those are cool. So
is that
it took me a long time. Wow, yeah. Look at those. I'm over here with like 8. I got like 8 slugs going. Wow, those are cool. But so it took me a long time to work up the courage to actually throw the medium-sized gill and the 4-inch sugar shaker. So with Luke, he was like, yeah, I'm throwing some sudden impact stuff. This is when him and you just kind of started, you know, kind of fishing together. And he's like, yeah, Shannon said the bluegill is a little bit hard for the calico to eat just because of how big it is and it doesn't really fold. And I'm like, well, this is the only thing that I have. So I'm just going to, and then I proceed to stick almost a 5-pounder on it, which is currently still my PB. And so that was really cool because, again, through the night, it was like 2-pounder, 3-pounder, 2-pounder, 3-pounder. And I'm like, Luke, I'm having the greatest time of my life. This is great. He's like, yeah, throw the gill on. I was like, okay, la-di-da-di-da. So I throw that out. I actually backlash. So I'm picking it out. And in the gill, the cool thing about the gill is it just sits pretty on that that's the gill. That 3/4 ounce. Yeah, exactly. What I mean is it sits pretty. And so the cool part is, so I get a couple cranks in and I'm like, oh shoot. And so the funny thing is we were telling Charlie about high sticking it. I have a 9-foot rod. So my first initial thing is to come up here and start winding it, turning it into an 11-foot rod. And I mean, this thing is absolutely digging. So at first I didn't realize that it was hooked. And it was just like, and I'm using.
If I remember, it like brought your hands back down.
Yeah, so I'm up here. I'm just, oh gosh, I'm fighting this thing on basically an 11-foot rod because instead of having it under the armpit, it's sticking straight up. So that was a lot of fun, and that was my first real experience with sudden impact, but also the just swim bait fishing. So since then, I've been slowly working up to swim bait fishing. And so I was back in, you know, the dumps with Jeffrey, and I was like, you know what? It's not a lot. We're not catching really anything. It's just seems like a pretty slow night. So I was like, you know what? I have the sugar shaker and I have an underspin. You know, nothing else is working. So let's at least play around. Let's get accustomed to this. Let's see how it swims. Let's build up my experience with other baits. Because as everybody knows, I love throwing my own baits, but I do need to venture out other places. So I'm fishing this thing around docks, you know, getting as close as you can and then riding it along, letting it sink. And I'm more fishing for experience rather than to like catch something. But that's when you let your mind wander and you know you're going to catch something. That's how it always is. You're just like, man, what do I have to pick up from the store tomorrow? I need milk. I need eggs. I mean, oh my goodness. Oh, so that was really cool because that was also my first spotty on a swim bait. So it's been a big ride for me just on the sudden impact swim baits. And I mean, each size and every size gets bit. So that's the cool part.
So like Shannon said, I'm a finesse fisherman, right? Like I like finessing stuff. So Daniel has this raffle, right? 2 years ago, right?
And this year.
So prior to the raffle, I was telling him, I'm trying to venture into throwing bigger baits. You know, I'm trying to throw bigger swimmers. And he's like, well, try to win this raffle, you know? And ironically, I won the raffle, right? And I got one of these, and I got one of these. Well, the one I won in the raffle 2 years ago was what I caught my 5-pound PV on.
Bless.
Pretty stoked.
So that's a pretty good promotion for the end of the year giveaway that I have so far annually to restock everybody for the future years.
So if you got any of Daniel's baits from 2 years ago, throw them because they're catching fish.
Or this year, well, last year or the year before.
Well, I got to say, like, to that point, I think one of the things that I'm really proud about the sudden impact line is that, like, you can come to soft plastic fishing with zero experience, and you can basically learn to rig, say, like a craw or a blunt nose swim bait, and you can learn to fish that. And then, you could say, well, what experience lies beyond that, right? And then you can pick up a weedless swim bait like a torpedo that's extremely easy and like super user friendly and fishes like a blunt nose, and you can basically compare your blunt nose experience to what you're learning fishing the torpedo. And then you can try something like the shaker or the bluegill that's like a totally different experience that allows you to give like much more technical presentations, but you have to know how to rig it and how to bend the hook.
Yeah.
And really what you do is you progress through the line as you grow as an angler. You know what I mean? And that's like that's the coolest thing to me about it is, like if you run through the whole sudden impact line and kind of like spend some time with each bait, like you've made yourself a much better plastic angler.
Anytime I've got someone who hasn't fished artificials, they're a bait fisherman. It's like, all right, we're going to do a Texas rig. We're going to do a 5 3/4 fluke, and I'll get a call the next day. Can you tell me what that rig was we were using? Because I need to get a bait caster and a rod like that. And where do we get those flukes again? Yeah, those always make the believer.
My favorite thing taken away from people who fish with Luke is, hey, what was that color again? Oh, Bill doesn't sell those. That was the runoff.
You guys have got me in so much trouble with that.
No, you got me in so much trouble with calling the 8-inch a 7-inch. What do you mean, man?
Listen, sometimes you have such a good experience that you are high on life for the next couple of days and your words don't come out correct.
That actually happened to me this past Saturday.
We want those 7-inch flukes. They said, I don't make a 7-inch fluke. Yes, you do the one that Luke's using. I said, I don't know why he called it that. It's an 8-inch.
That's what I called. We were fishing. When I was fishing with Shannon, I called the torpedo a 6-inch, and then I corrected myself and called it a 5.
Well, I did. I did.
We got a 5. It's all good.
Oh, he was fishing the 5.
I was fishing the 5, but I called it a 6.
Well, what happened was I caught a Dorado on an 8-inch and posted a video that ended up getting like thousands of views. And in the video, I'm like, so go ahead and pick yourself up a 7-inch fluke.
That's when I called you and I told you, hey, you owe me $1,000. I got to get some molds made.
So which one's your favorite bait to fish, Bill?
I like the 575 shaker.
Yeah, it's a really good bait.
It's the PB maker.
Yeah.
I would have had broken my PB maybe a month ago, but I couldn't land any of the fish.
I'm excited to get back out there and fish the 5.75 sugar shaker, because last time we were out, I couldn't stick anything. Personally, I couldn't stick anything anyways, so it wasn't necessarily the bait. I think it might have been the operation on it. So it was funny because Shannon was like, Daniel, have you caught anything on the 5.75? I mean, it's outrageous the things that you catch on it. They're just a bigger fish. And it's like you were saying with the 5 3/4 soft jerk bait, is that it just ends up getting that bigger class of fish. It's just the size big enough to weed through the smaller fish.
Yeah, like if you're catching a 16 on that, you're like, that was the most aggressive fish ever because it shouldn't even fit in your mouth.
Yeah. So sadly, I haven't caught anything on the 5.75, but I have the 4-inch. So there's always more, and I'm excited to keep fishing. That's the whole point, really.
So this is what we were doing the other week. We had the 5.75s and then upsized to big torpedoes on lead heads. And so it was making all the difference.
You know what's really cool? And sorry, Luke, to interrupt. So I've been fishing with Simon. Simon has become a friend over the last year and a half. I met him in Marina del Rey. And off the bat, I mean, I would say we're very similar, so we tend to vibe together. He started out fishing pretty much exactly the same. I don't know what he was fishing. I want to say probably just a lead head and a paddle tail, probably a Kitech, everything, the starter pack for anyone in the harbor. And so I gradually got him out of fishing just that into the Jika rig, into other style baits. And then just recently he had a post and he was like, hey man, I hear everybody talking about sudden impact. And so I bought myself some. I want to say it was probably the 3 to 5 inch sugar shaker. And I saw him land some.
It was the torpedo.
That was really cool.
What did
I say?
You said sugar shaker.
Yeah, it was torpedoes when he was out with us, right? Yeah, we had him out. We had him out at the break wall with us. He's kind of the one that brought the scrounger to our group, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, he is definitely the one that brought the scrounger. Which is even funnier because I introduced him to like opening up to different tactics, and then he comes to me like, "Have you seen this scrounger head? This is crazy." He calls me from like down the street. And he goes, I just need to let you know that I caught 5 spotties in 30 minutes on the scrounger and the dragon tail. That's it. Just wanted to let you know that was it. The dragon tail and the scrounger head, bananas, absolutely kills it. I'm like, okay. So immediately, Charlie and I go out and buy scrounger heads, and I will have to say that the scrounger heads are.
On the sudden impact fluke that action.
Oh so Shannon, my gosh, yeah.
After we left the ramp, right? Me and Daniel stayed behind. We were talking, and I told him, he's like, "What time do you have to be home?" I'm like, "Well, I should be home by 5, right? Because I thought we were gonna stay there later.
Groceries.
Yeah, got to go get some groceries." But I'm like, let's go short pound for a little bit. He's like, it's low tide. I'm like, just let's go cast the line, So I throw the scrounger with the seafoam fluke, and I almost caught a halibut.
Yeah,
I saw him. I saw him swim up, and then when you see the halibut swim up, a spotty comes from the side, and it's so clear and low, you see everything, right? But I told Daniel, I was like, how insane would that have been, man? I mean, we both did trifectas, right? And then to finish it off with the halibut would have been just insane.
I want you guys to try something when you're like, because that whole side of the harbor right there is all grass fishing, and like when the tide gets low, you actually have more access to the grass, and it tends to stack the fish right on the outside edge of it. So like when you cast over the grass, as soon as you feel it, you'll get bit, right? And like those halibut will sit right on the outside edge of the grass, and it's amazing to me how far halibut will chase a bait.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I want you guys, when you're fishing grass, I want you guys to try that double rig. Basically where you're fishing, say I take my main braid and I put it through the eye of one swivel, and then I tie it to the eye of another swivel. And then the swivel that I tied my braid to, that's my long line. And then my short line is the sliding swivel. And then basically I'll take 2 4-inch torpedoes, or 2 5.0 flashies and 2 5 3/4 flukes. I was talking with Mikey from Pearl, and he basically said that he's been a donkey rig, exactly, a double donkey rig. But he said he's been fishing that a lot. And what he noticed is he'll hook a bay bass on, I don't know if Bill's pouring right now. He's definitely working. My guess is he's pouring.
And no, I was looking for something to show the audience.
Oh,
the line of the 360 torpedo.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll finish up and then we can look at that. That's cool. But what Mikey was saying is basically he'd hook a bay bass on one of the double rig baits, and like separate from the A rig, because the A rig messed up halibut, but he's hooking a bay bass first, and the bay bass is kind of like, if it's a good one, it's like swimming left and right. If it's a little one, it's just doing the spin. But you got that other bait there floating, and he said that he's been getting legal halibut that just come up and slurp that second bait once he's hooked a bay bass first bait. And I've always been a fan of that double rig for grass fishing, but I think that's something we should be fishing more.
I'm not afraid.
So, for people wondering where to find this rig, Tactical Bassing actually has an awesome breakdown of it. But we'll probably. I also have a couple of pictures. I'll see if I can't get Luke to post them
Daniel's
tomorrow.
going to be selling them soon, so stay tuned.
I sell just about everything.
And I'm not talking about the transparent double rig that people are doing for like swim baits. I'm talking about just tying.
Yeah, you're talking where you got the double swivels.
Yeah. What's up, Gary? Yeah. What's up, Gary?
So
what's up, Gary?
So the cool thing is I actually fish the double rig around docks and riffraff in the summer with the two flashy swimmers. So I will put two slugs on there and use them kind of as jerk baits, and those will go like this. So when I'm fishing down by the docks, I'll pitch it out and then just, tap it back, get it all like this. And then it's only 6 to 10 feet in between the dock and the retaining wall. So those spotties will come up and hit them. You don't have to go all the way down and then cruise the bottom. You can be in 3, 4, 5 feet of water and they'll smash it. But there's so much fun, dude. I've had crazy days where I've just nailed 14-inch, like super aggressive, super fat spotted bay bass on the double rig. However, I have yet to double up on anything. So that is something that I am trying to do this year. And I think I've told this story before. When my boat used to work.
Well, it will soon.
It will. I'm doing some stuff to get the boat going, hopefully before April.
A bunch of nothing.
So I took my dad out on the sinking bathtub, and I'm like, hey, Dad, use the A-rig. The A-rig has absolutely been killing them. And so, he's chucking it around. He's doing this. He throws it on a pylon. Boom. He hooks up. And again, this is on a really stout, just thick broomstick of a rod. And it just goes, what? And I'm like, holy crap, that is a good fish. And I'm super stoked about it because he's never fished the A-rig at all. And he gets it up, and it's two like 14, 15-inch sand bass. And I'm just standing there. Like I've been fishing the A-rig for over a year now. I've been fishing double rigs. I've been fishing drop dead Ned rigs. I've been dropping 2 hooks on a lot of different rigs, and I have yet to double up on anything. And he's just first cast with the A-rig. Oh, bendo. And I'm just like, there's no way. This guy has so much luck, but it's so cool. Dude, the double rig and the A-rig in the summer are fantastic rigs.
You know what's funny? I've caught a lot of double ups on calico bass and sand bass. I've never caught 2 bay bass on the same A-rig or double rig. I don't know if it's like a territorial thing, whether they like have their like, like we don't go over to Larry's side of the fence, but like,
yeah,
I don't know.
They probably do.
I mean, I'm going to say no because I've seen a ton of double spotties. But I don't know. Like you said,
that's what I was just gonna say, man.
Yeah.
All those dudes, like Cyborg, right? They're all hooking up on 3 spotties in one A rig.
He's had 2 spotties on one slow pitch jig.
Yeah.
My gosh, what did they share the same hook too?
The same hook. I have 2 bayback and hard bait when they're trying to take it out of another one's mouth.
You know what? That happened to me. I was fishing one of the jigs I made, and I hooked one, and this thing's running back and forth, and I see this other spotty following it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's trying to take it out of its mouth. I wish I had more than one hook on this thing. So I'm just watching these spotties just absolutely go at it, and I'm just like, this is wild. And so then I landed the other one, and I was like, man, I wish I had more than just, a normal jig hook on this, because it was so cool. Because it was just absolutely hitting the guy's mouth, just trying to take the bait out of its mouth. And I was like, I can't believe I just witnessed that. That was really cool.
I had this was like right before the big rainstorm. I caught about a 3-pound sand bass underneath the lights, and I was looking behind it, and I thought like maybe it was a shadow or something, and then I was like, is that a little harbor seal? It was like a 7-pound sand bass, just coming up and like gill shouldering the little one. And I was like, oh my God, like, what do I do? So I threw on the little one as fast as I could, just throat grabbed it, knocked the hook out, and literally threw it over my shoulder because there was water behind me. And I was like, get the bait back in the water. Just get the bait back in the water in front of the big one. But it was legit, I don't know, like 23, 24 plus inches.
That's a big one.
Did you go for it?
No, the thing just vaporized as soon as because I had to take my eye off of it for just a second, because you flip the fish right at me. I grabbed the line, I grabbed the thing by the throat, knocked the hook out, and threw it like about that fast, but like nothing I could do.
You were with me when I caught my big harbor bass, which was a 5-pound sand bass.
Yeah.
Which I was not expecting up in 10 feet of water.
On the grub.
Yeah. On the big grub. It was like a 6-inch grub.
Yeah. Yeah. That was awesome. There's
looking back, I don't even know why I was throwing that in the harbor. I think I just still had it tied on from something else.
That's too funny.
No, Bill just sent you them, and you were really excited about it because you were like, dude, Bill just started making these really big grubs. I'm really excited about it. I'm not trying to sound any bit, but he was like, I do feel a little bit obligated to fish it. And will I say it produced? Absolutely. He landed that just insane sand bass.
There's been a lot of that big sand bass around lately.
The other day I was fishing one of my normal spots for bay bass, and I flipped one over the rail, and I'm like, this is it. This is my PB by a long shot. And I kind of flipped it over. It was dark. I couldn't see. I turned on my light, and it's like, oh, wow, okay. It's like a 20-inch sand bass, which is awesome. But when I thought I had a 20-inch bay bass, it was a little different story.
Dolan, are you backing up a truck?
It's his microwave.
I know. I just gotta ruin him. I haven't been fishing much because it's like, oh, you know what? So I'm gonna answer a question. Mark, what's up, Nick? Mark asked basically like, what rod and reel are we fishing, right? Get like 90% of the time I can fish like a 200 with 50-pound braid and like 25 to 40-pound leader, and then a 7 to 8 foot like 5 to 6 power rod, a little bit under rod, a little bit over line. You know what I mean? Sometimes if I'm fishing the 5.75 shaker, I do like an 8 foot like 6 or 7 power rod with a 365-pound braid, and then anywhere from 30 to 50-pound leader. I know I've talked about this a lot before. I fish a lot of 754s bitching. You can crack some fish with that.
Yep, that's the go-to.
Apologies.
It's a 764.
Yeah, I fish a lot of our baits. A lot of our baits are dialed to have some head roll. You know what I mean? And I say this so much that I feel like I've said it too much, but every time I say it, someone new hears it. So we always say it, right? I fish a loop knot because if I'm fishing 25 to 40 pound test on a 5-inch bait with a 1/4 ounce weight, if I straight tie to that thing, I dial out all the head action. So,
Which is why
and everyone's
like a clip.
Yeah, a clip works great. I just personally like the loop knot. Everyone's like, you're going to hook a big one and lose it because of the loop. That's never happened. Like, I kind of gauge my leader more for like abrasion resistance than tensile strength. Man. And that said, usually that the beast hook is, the eye of the beast hook is behind the fish's teeth. The loop knot is in the fish's mouth. And the fish is just, got this, right? But that's helped me a lot. I think it also helps me a little bit on the hook set because a lot of these fish, I don't point the rod directly at the bait. I put it in the direction of the bait, parallel with the surface of the water, so there's still a little bit of a tent in the line. But I'm kind of depending on a lot of saltwater bass to hook themselves, if that makes any. Like they come, they eat the weedless bait from the side, and the moment they turn their head, basically to what would essentially put, if it were a live bait, it would point the head down in their throat. That's when that beast hook just starts. Like the beast hook just has to start anywhere in the mouth, and you got that thing hooked. So
now I'm going to say this just for a little contrast while we're talking about gear, where you go heavier on your braid, I go 30 pound on everything. Every single rod and reel combo has 30 pound braid on it, whether I'm fishing 40 pound leader or 8 pound leader. And
I catch back ones.
Yeah.
Catch big ones.
It's all a preference thing. I got to also say you have a lot nicer cast than I do, so I need that lighter line to cast as far as you.
And there are times, right? Like I'm not a fan of braid on a jig stick, but if I'm fishing braid on a jig stick, it's going to be 80 or 100 pound, because that 80 or 100 pound braid with a larger diameter is a little bit more forgiving on a cast. You know what I mean? So like I actually got my weedless.
So you're talking about like surface irons
with a Tranx 400, and that's got, when I fish like the 7-inch weedless and the kelp on a 10-0 beast, I'm fishing 80 pound braid to 100 pound mono. With a loop knot, and just 2-3 feet, 100 pound mono.
What's your go-to setup, Bill?
You know what? I'm just getting all the gear to fish the calico stuff.
All right.
All my stuff prior to that was all deep sea big tuna stuff.
If you want numbers, I'll give you numbers on Bill's rod. Bill's got a Lexa 300 with a Performance Tackle SBRX 80 medium, and it is a beautiful calico bass rod.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah, I was supposed to get the Lexa 300, but I didn't listen.
You didn't listen. You know what? I'm just going to drop this. I got a call today on the phone. It's funny because I usually don't answer numbers I don't recognize. Let them go to voicemail. But I'm going to answer it. And it's like, oh, hey, this is Rob from LA Fishing Alliance. We got your reels ready. I go, okay, cool. In a couple of days when I got some time, I'm going to try to make it in, pick up my reels. And he goes, hey, just so you know, we got sudden impacts coming into the store in a week or two.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. We're going to be working with a lot of shops, and I don't know. Can I just talk for a minute here?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why you're here.
Yeah. So I started working with Kevin Nakata at Fishing Reps in like the middle of January. One of the really nice things about that is, basically Bill and I were servicing a couple of shops. Folks who wanted our stuff could go to those shops and find them. With Kevin, right? It's my job. It's my responsibility to go to all these tackle shops and service like 8 or 9 brands, right? And while I'm there, sudden impact. So we've got a lot better coverage, and we're getting a lot better coverage. We actually We just sent a massive load of baits to Pacific Coast Bait and Tackle in Oceanside. They had a severely depleted plastic section before. And
is that the one that's just off the freeway?
It's no, it's kind of in South Oceanside, so it's basically like thank you, Kevin. Thank you for the work, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for so let me tell you a little bit about Kevin. Kevin's super cool. He's really a bridge between new brands and tackle stores, right? And when I say that, I like it because it's the kind of enterprise sales that I was doing in healthcare, right? Where you're taking somebody's like really great product that just hasn't gotten the play it deserves, right? Like some people like to message me and ask me about the products in the Fishing Reps line. And the cool thing is they're all like sudden impact where they're the product that you want, but you haven't heard of. You know what I mean? So it's our job to get the word out and make sure that people know what it is, why it's better, and where they can find it. You know what I mean? I hate to sound addy, but you know that's what it is, right? If nobody came up to me and said, "Hey, like plastic lures are the shit. Why don't you try them?" You know, I wouldn't have fished them. So there's some really, really cool stuff there, and there's some really, really cool stuff coming. I think everybody knows what's going on at What's up, Dean? Dean, we were just talking about how we're getting you're getting our lures in your shop. But
you know what's really interesting is I feel like, Shannon, you've been talking about me this whole time. Because, Dean, hey, I'll get you some lures soon, too. And
no, he won't. Mark asked for lures 2 months ago. He didn't do that either.
I'm a new brand. And
Bill, you need to have a talk with Daniel.
No, Dean and I did have a talk. We talked.
I said Bill has to have a talk with you.
Yeah, we'll talk with you about not following through on shit.
Well, here's.
Uh-oh.
That's why I need Kevin. That's why I need fish rods. I need Kevin. Kevin, I'm here.
But here's a question for Bill. Bill, how many baits did you make last year?
1.86 million pieces.
Yeah, I'm like 1.2 billion under that.
You gotta want to work.
Hey.
I'm gonna just, since we're talking about Daniel, I'm gonna show Daniel's most controversial bait.
Oh, you got me. You got me there. I was confused on that one.
That's the most controversial bait ever.
Most controversial bait ever, but it catches.
So, I will have to say the truck sound is partially the microwave, but I did just get a vacuum chamber which gets out all those bubbles, and I mean, my baits have never looked so good without bubbles. I am no Kevin Credo, and I am no Gary Reyes, where they can just somehow magically bubbleless plastic.
Probably should trim it.
I need help. So I need help. So
trim it up. Clean it up.
Bubbleless. We're killing it today. I just want to say that I'm still growing, and I'm excited to be a part of all this, and I'm excited to be fishing regardless.
Say it to the camera, Dolan. What are you doing in the corner?
Tell him, Shannon.
You guys need to call him out on his bullshit because he doesn't listen to Charlie anymore.
There he is. He's back. He's back.
I just wanted to say that I really appreciate
read Gary's comment. He said, "Patience, Daniel, son."
Oh, I said it today. I'm ever growing and never slowing. So it's a process, you know. I honestly did not expect me to be where I am today in just under the 2 years that I've actually been making baits. So I've been growing faster than I thought I would be. I've been making baits better than I thought I would be. So I'm really excited on where I am and where this is going to take me. So that's the cool part.
I must add to that. You know, Daniel's baits kind of got me out of my comfort zone because I mean, when I mean finesse fishing, I was finesse fishing. You know, I was fishing a gulp.
Kind of cheating.
Yeah, I was just about to say, do we want to go back to the Ned Rig gulp?
Yeah, none of those
I drew.
counted.
And then I met Daniel, and Yeah, man. And now it's like I'm just venturing out to other stuff. Nick from SoCal Fishing Squad got me on a.
Looks like a tattoo-less Post Malone.
Oh. Oh.
You guys are brutal. Do you remember when that banana movement
That was Reyes.
came on here and said a bunch of horrible stuff? It's never gonna get that bad. Oh, look.
So yeah, man, I got out of my comfort zone, and now I'm just venturing out to other stuff. You know, dude, I'm never gonna forget that.
I'm not proud, but I want to give you some sales pointers, Daniel Dolan. When you
actually sell baits or take money for them,
when you go see Dean at LA Fishing Alliance, you wear a Speedo.
Oh.
He's not even going to go down there. He's going to be like, oh, I had to call him and cancel because I wanted to pour nicer ones.
I did. Hey, Mark, if you're on here, Performance Tackle, I poured you up some nice ones. Now,
hey, I want to show Charlie something real quick.
Is he you in a Speedo? Oh, the kicker fishing.
No, Charlie knows what they are.
What?
Is that Shannon?
Yeah.
Is that
You got some?
I ordered a bunch on eBay. Like I found the heads, and I already popped the hooks off them and got the right hooks on them. I gave one to Joe.
What did he say?
Oh, he didn't say shit, dude. Joe was fucking Joe don't tell secrets. But here's the thing, right? That thing's good, but you got to be careful how you put it together. I actually I got a set of hooks for it that I didn't like. Oh, where's Girth? I know where Girth is.
So, side comment for everybody who is wondering why I had my hoodie up this whole live is because I didn't have a hat and my forehead.
Because you're Post Malone.
Bro, no, I'm Chris D'Elia without the long flowing locks. I'm still a tall drink of water, but I have his forehead, just not the long, beautiful locks to go with it.
So we got about 15 minutes left, so let's get this in the wrap up direction.
Shannon, we gotta link up after
He's gone. He ran away. He opened his car door and was like, I'm out of here.
Groceries. Legit.
He's getting groceries. I will. So Bill, I have a question. Will the shirt be coming out at the PCS show?
Well, the shirt?
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, I thought
at the Bart Hall Show for sure.
I had a dang Girth hook sticker in my car, and I must have put it in my backpack. Dolan, you've been making slugs. I want to show you something about the slug. Who all's heard of hookup baits?
I think everybody.
You know what's wrong with them is they work.
Yeah.
But you know what works? What we used to fish before that
slug?
Was the slug on a straight up get some head. Like this right here.
Turn on your light, Shannon.
Here. See that?
Okay.
That weird head.
Oh,
Is that the one that you have a video
That's
where
like
you
the
rig those big flukes, huh?
that's like the white sea bass hook, right?
Yeah, that's the white sea bass head, except this is like a 4 or 5 inch slug, and that thing. So the thing about hookup baits or any like tube is they work in open water because they got that gliding action. I was talking with like Tash and Nick about this last time I saw him. Was out in Hemet. We were like last chance. When you guys are fishing like local structure on the skiff, you know, like sand bass stones or just like little reef, those little ribbon reefs that we get a little kelp growing on them. You drive over them, and if you meet her like bass high, and you're like, anything can have mermaid milk scent. Dude, this is what we used to do, like skiff fishing local, because you know, like not every stone's gonna bite, right? And you don't want to like sit there and anchor on a stone because we used to anchor because we didn't have spot lock, right? But like you don't want to sit there and anchor on a stone and be like, yeah, is this thing biting? Dude, as you like, you know where the spot is because it's on your GPS. You're lined up with your little arrow going towards the little X, right? Toss this thing off the back of your boat, put it in free spool, and then you go over the spot and you meter it and you're like, oh yeah, this thing's got bass high, like meaning that you're seeing bass marks above the middle, like the 50% line of the water column, which means that they're up like chasing stuff instead of just like hunkering on the reef hiding. Put the rod and reel in gear and, you know, knock the boat out of gear. And this thing's going to just come gliding through all of them. And you can use clear red flake. You can use any anchovy color or whatever you want. But it's a killer search bait because it sinks super fast. Like it gets down to where those bass are. Like, oh, there's an anchovy, right? And it glides, right? And if those fish are going to bite, like if they're going to bite at all, you're going to be bit on that thing so fast you'll make your head spin. And like if you don't get bit on that thing, don't stop on that stone. Just drive to the next one. You know what I mean?
Makes sense.
So, but I think, just Dolan, since you're in the slug business as well, promoting that Gets 'em head is a pretty sweet rigging option for fish in open water. Bill, did you see that question down there from Kevin?
I did not.
It says, "What's the biggest plastic you pour, and can you show it?"
Got it right here. No.
That's going to get us demonetized on YouTube if you show that, Luke.
What?
I said that's going to get us demonetized on YouTube if you show that, Luke. Just kidding. We aren't monetized on YouTube. We're not monetized anywhere.
You got a 12-inch over there?
Yeah, he has it.
I've got. I don't even think Bill's seen this one because I repainted it.
Wait, hold on. There you go.
Is that the 12-inch or is that the 10-inch?
I think it's the 12-inch because that's a 12-inch right there. Oh, maybe it is a 10-inch.
That's a 10.
This was the Dorado one, and I repainted it with some of that paint you gave me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, to Kevin's question, we have a 12-inch 360 torpedo. And the guys in Sacramento love it, the kayak guys, for striper.
Is that a 10-inch?
It's Kevin, I also, for you, have a selection of 12-inch flukes in the car. So tomorrow or the next day. Kevin's gonna catch a double-digit bass on that just for fun, just to.
Okay.
I'm gonna catch a Dorado on this one.
Not yet. Literally, the only thing it's caught is Dorado.
I think Shannon had him biting his.
And I think a couple people have low-key caught some stripers on it, but they're not. They're
keeping it quiet.
They're not posting it.
Yeah, it's like when
that's how you know it's a good bait is when nobody talks about it.
Yeah, like when I go.
So on that note, all my baits are amazing because nobody talks about my baits.
Oh man, pick those 10 to 12-inch baits line through. You certainly can. And actually, here's a funny one for you, right? I looked up big bite baits. I guess they're calling it like a BB5. Their line through bait. It's a 5-inch torpedo, and it's $10. Ours sells for $2.50. You know what I mean? You can rig it any way you want. So, I just always like to just point out every single time we deliver value, right? And we lost Luke and Charlie again, but
they're in the lurks. Don't forget that.
They don't deserve to come back. That's all I'm saying.
I love them.
At this point,
can we get them back and then commit
yes.
Like a 7:30 wrap up time because I'm still on
the go. Don't worry, it will be a 7:30 wrap up time. I'll cut this out in post production as well. There we go. Welcome back to another live. Charlie and Luke are just joining us again.
Is this mandatory?
Is this mandatory?
Hey, I got a question for Luke. Oh, I lost audio for a second. I was worried. You want to go fishing Saturday night?
I do. I have to work all weekend, and I might be. My wife has a plan. She's like, She told me, she goes, "You're working so hard. If you and your friends want to go fishing Saturday night, I will drive you to work on Sunday."
I will.
How cool is that? How cool is that?
That's super.
I was like, dude, we launch the boat, we fish a couple hours. I'm not even cleaning it. I'm doing 1/4. I'm running stuff through the motor, and then I'm parking in the driveway.
Remind us to thank her. She is an absolute awesome person with also how much work you've been putting into everything.
Yeah,
He made Charlie dinner tonight, which he did not eat because he's got to go home and have dinner.
Yeah, anchor's not enough. We might have to cater her Sunday. Yeah, Luke, I think. Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been looking, and I was like, she caught me lamenting my weekend, sitting there crying. I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to go to the PCS show. I'm gonna have to have my dad go to the Sudden Impact booth and FaceTime me so I can tell him what baits to get.
Dude, I think
if Shannon needs help, I'm gonna need to send one of the kids.
We could be done by 10 p.m. on Saturday.
Do you guys want to see a promotion for Grant, his raffle for the CCA? Real quick. No, I'm going to show part of the raffle. That I'm making for the raffle.
My phone was going off.
Gotcha. Hold on. Before you show it, hide it real quick. Daniel's had these baits in the work for a while, and we've been fishing them, and we've been catching donkeys on them. And he goes, don't show those. I'm going to keep them for just us guys. We're not going to promote them. So any YouTube video we made, anything, I've been sitting there editing every piece of the bait out so you can't see what we're using.
I try to blur it out.
Hey, so I'm going to be selling these now. Can you send me some footage? No, I don't have any footage. I spent a lot of time erasing all the footage.
Yeah, it was a failed attempt at 00. No, so Grant from Waterman Collective is hosting a raffle for the CCA where all the proceeds are going to the CCA and all that stuff. So part of the Spotty raffle is this unique Spotty flatfall that I just painted. So 2 of these are going to be in the raffle that you guys can win. So we got that beige belly with that orange yellow chin.
I thought you made 3. You're not keeping one for yourself, are you? You're supposed to be raffling all 3.
I'm
cutting out. Oh my goodness. Okay, fine, Luke. I was going to keep one for myself because I was being selfish because I'm putting other baits in there too. But fine. You guys can win all 3 of these. Okay? Okay? Because Luke does that to me every single time. Every time I try to be selfish, Luke is the selfless one. So I have 3 of these custom painted spotted bay bass flat falls, 20 grams, 3 of them, a beautiful gold clear coat that you can't really see, Cyclops jigs, really cool. I got hooks for them and everything. You can get 3 of those plus a handful of baits. And then, what other that, he's selling or putting in there because, my stuff's the best. So that's, of course, why you want to win the raffle. All right, that's it.
So, I guess this question's for both of you guys. I mean, I'm excited for the shirts. Are they going to be coming out soon?
I will have them Friday.
Nice. Exclusive to the PCS show?
No.
If Bill has them Friday, he can overnight them by the time the show's over, which is no problem. We're going to be at Bart Hall with Bob Sands, too. You guys know that?
Which I'm really looking forward to, especially now that I'm not making the PCS show.
Luke, we might have you come down and hang out with us. Can you guys do this in your car?
Yeah.
We can do
Yeah, you
all
mean
sorts of stuff with our cars.
sitting it?
No, I mean pull an 8-foot rod out of the back seat.
Are you
No.
going
But
fishing right now?
bad babies.
Oh,
Is that the
This
double
is-
zero?
This is just sample demo. So if you're coming to PCS, there's going to be retailers with these guys. It's going to be Ketchum, Island, and Tackle Express. Just check them out. If you guys want me to do a breakdown on these things in terms of why they're special, I think that's something that we can more than do. Basically, it's a $500 rod for $300. That's what it breaks down to. Long, short, all that. Things are killer. Just hold one. That's all I can say is just hold one, right? Same thing goes. We're stoked on those. This is literally the best low profile reel I've ever fished. Yeah,
I caught 2 fish.
Charlie
on it,
ran
by the
this
way.
thing. Charlie ran this thing. So, also, if you're not going to be able to make PCS, you can talk to your retailers because they're going to be in May 15th. Pretty much everywhere that carries war baits. And we'll be able to get you guys set up there. So there's going to be a rush on them at PCS. I think we thought people were going to camp out, but then the PCS people said they couldn't. So that's kind of a bummer. That was going to be fun. But do just, like I said, just hold one. Just hold one.
Yeah, they're very nice.
So
What's
What's
it
it
made
made
of? Luke, that's an excellent question. Let me get it back up here in the rod rack. This is a 7.5.
That's an 8-foot?
Oh, I said 8-foot
I
rod.
said it was an 8-foot.
he's lying.
They're lying
Well,
to us.
dramatic effect, right? If I can take a rod out of a rod rack in my car, stick it out the window, and show it to you guys while I'm still technically supposed to be working.
He's back in the car right now. You hear
All right,
beeping?
what's it made out of? It's made out of T800 Torre carbon fiber, which is extremely important because the T800 grade is pretty much the highest tensile strength you can get without being a military contractor. Torre being probably the most consistent in terms of manufacturers that can actually provide that. What's important about that, tensile strength gives you all your desirable characteristics in a carbon rod, right? Tensile strength also translates to brittleness if you don't have the technology to make it something that can be impact resistant and can be folded up, right? Simon's building rods like that. I can't go into exactly what the process is because I can't explain it with my hands, and right, it's what he calls double X core technology, which is where it basically takes 2 pieces of tape wound in different directions on the base of the mandrel, and then the flags go over that. The flags would be the actual sheets when you think of carbon fiber. Like if you ever look at a rod that's got a fiberglass tip, you can notice that it turns a different color at the tip, right? The other cool thing about those rods, full Fuji components. It's Fuji EVA, Fuji reel seat, Fuji guides. There's nothing on there that's not Fuji. If you look at any other rod at that price point, most of them aren't running Fuji. So it's 100% made in Yuma, Arizona. The blank's made in Yuma, Arizona. The only thing that's not made in Yuma are the Fuji guides, right? So we're super excited about that. Like I said, there's only going to be 100 at PCS. So
what besides the reel you have on there right now, which is
that's a Seaborn Salty 150.
And then what reel fits well? Is it just the 150 or you can go up to 300?
The Warbaits rods come 5 models. There's an 80 heavy, so that's an 8-foot heavy. Not titanium guides. They're Fuji K guides. But you could put a 300 on the 80 heavy. Most of the rods, I would recommend a 200 size reel. It's a really nice rod for fishing plastic inshore, right?
So yeah, I also use all Fuji components on my rods, and since I'm not really selling rods, you're probably going to have to buy one of the Warbait.
You know,
if you want,
that's kind of the distinction there,
rod.
right? Is the features on that rod are something that you usually would have to go and have a custom rod made to have. But the cool thing about that is it's custom rod quality with Warbait's art, right? Like Afrin makes cool graphic design art. Like when you buy a pack of his lead heads, like you get a cool looking card with it. You know what I mean? Robert, they're not available as blanks right now. Maybe but most of the Taipan rods, I'm under the impression they're available built only. Just to make that work, right? Because the thing is, if he's just selling blanks. Oh, Kevin says we'll work on getting Taipan blanks stores. How many double feet guides? That's a good question. So on that one that I just pulled down, I think I've got 3, and then they go to single.
And that's carbon fiber all the way through, right? That's not a graphite.
Yeah, that's not a composite. That's 100% graphite. And it's 100% Tour AT800. It's not like it's a blend. So,
gotcha. That makes sense. All right. Well, we're about to wrap it up. Is there anything you want to add?
Thank you, guys. Thank Bill. I know Bill's probably got a few words at the end. I'm extremely grateful to all you guys as my friends. I'm extremely grateful to the angling community for, always supporting me and for putting up with me. I'm extremely grateful to all our retail customers and just to everybody who takes the time to sit, talk, hang out, and be my friend. I couldn't ask for more in life, right? Like, I mean, I could, like a briefcase with $1 billion in it, but that's not. Yeah, I'm not trading that out for what I got. So, like I said, just extremely grateful for everybody who in this community, for everybody who asks questions, and, just shows up and goes fishing. Like, what a cool scene. Right? Like I've been in this scene when it wasn't cool and people were jerks and they were just rough on each other and it was click.
Yeah, but there still are some. Yeah, we're not name namers.
Like people have been really.
I mean, Luke's pretty much a jerk, but we're not going to name any names.
So hey, I'm going to add this at the end. Anyone stopping by your guys' booth, things I'm looking for. We all know the shaker. We know the big gill, but some of the stuff we don't talk about as much, which is probably my favorite bait, is the fat gill. I'm going to be looking for fat gills. I'm going to be looking for the craws. Yeah, my dad, but I'm going to be on FaceTime. My dad's going to be looking for the HDX craws with the hands that float, because that's one of my favorite things. And I'm going to be looking for flukes because I can't get enough flukes. My tray of flukes is running out. I'm going to be looking for the 8s, which are killer at the wall. You have that wall night where there's 50 fish. You want to move to the 8 and catch 10 big fish. Obviously the 5 3/4, but the little flukes. I don't have one in front of me, but that's become my spotty killer. And are you guys going to have any of the small grubs?
I don't think we'll have any of the small grubs of the show. We will have a full line of torpedoes. We'll have 8-inch flukes. We'll have 4-inch shakers. And we will have HDX craws there in the performance booth. And we'll have fat gills.
Fat gills will be at Bart Hall.
Oh, fat gills will be at Bart Hall. We'll have shakers and gills, though.
Will you have the little
the smallest ones, the little park potato chip? We'll have those. Yeah, Mark.
One of the things I'm just going to throw this out there. One of the things I do when it becomes like a dark sleeper bite where they're sitting on the bottom, they want it slow. I just jam an 8-0 right into that little guy. I set him on the bottom, and they like slurp that thing. You don't even feel him hit. You feel this like tick, and you're like, Charlie's been there. I'm like, he doesn't even know he's hooked. He doesn't even know.
I like to call the fish an idiot right before I swing. So Mark got a giant calico on our 8-inch fluke from shore. That was pretty cool. I think we got a picture of that up. But Bill, do you have anything to say to us before we head off tonight?
Well, I want to thank you guys for having us on, and all of you for supporting, the baits. Thank you, Luke, for all you do for us. Charlie, thank you for all you did at the show, the toy drive. I appreciate it. I watched you work your ass off that day. And, well, Daniel, there's not much to say for you. But we're in the same.
I was kind of thinking that.
He's like, we're
I was thinking that as you're going down the line, I'm like, I really haven't done all that much. So
no,
I don't know.
It's all good. Shannon, I love you. You're in my heart, brother. And yeah, we'll keep pounding it out here, and we'll make it to the Bart Hall for sure.
When I first started getting more active about it, say a year and a half ago on social media, my wife said, "What's your goal here?" And I said, "I want to be part of the party. I want to be involved. I want to be part of the group." And I gotta say, like the all the people here right now, this is kind of my inner circle. You guys are all people I talk to on the phone. I call to say what's up, say how are you doing, and it's really cool to have all of you on.
Take it personal when you called tonight and I didn't talk very much.
I can tell the second I called you, I could tell you were busy, and I was like,
I was trying to get shit done for and yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm a blue collar guy like everybody else. I'm a working man, and when you have that tone in your voice, it's like, oh, Bill's in the shop. I'll talk to you later, Bill. Have a good time.
Luke knows firsthand when he calls me, and I'm just, okay, yeah, and he goes, "Are you in the shop?" Yes, I am. And then he goes, "Okay, I want this. Goodbye."
All I can tell you
it's funny
is the shirt, when it comes out, it's going to do your art proud. I've seen it. I've seen it on the shirt, and you're going to. You did yourself proud. No, thank you.
For all those that don't know, Luke, you designed the shirt that's coming out, I believe, at the Bart Hall Show, and we're all very excited for it.
Yep.
Very stoked.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool, to fish with you guys. Bill, I haven't had a chance to fish with you, but soon, hopefully, Shannon is always, I'm getting a little, no, I'm kidding. Shannon is always a pleasure fishing with you, Daniel,
whatever,
Luke.
I'm just here.
It's and I always say this that on every live, this thing happened from just a joke, It was like, oh, let's just get on Daniel's live, and it became a thing, which is really cool, man. What we've done and what we're doing, and I'm very stoked for what's gonna happen or what's happening. We're all working hard on this together, and I'm pretty stoked, man.
Okay, we got 17 people left watching us, which means they're all the hardcores. If you're not watching our YouTube channel, check it out. We're going to have a couple more cool videos coming out. We'll see you guys next Tuesday, 6 o'clock.
Bill, Shannon.
So, hey, I'm going to be at the show Sunday. Charlie, I think, is also going to meet me on Sunday. So if you guys are planning to just meet up, have a good time, or
huge meetup, Glizzy gang. The whole hardcore Glizzy gang is going to be there on Sunday.
Glizzy gang, Bill's, the hammocks.
We'll be the guys walking around holding hot dogs.
All right, guys. Bill, Shannon, thank you guys very much for joining us. Shannon, always dropping knowledge on us, man. Thank you. Appreciate you, Bill. Thank you guys for showing us.
All right. Peace.
Thank